What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty, man. I appreciate everybody being in here. We got a good show for you all tonight, man. Going to talk about some more Steelers talk. I know this is the dead period, and we'll cover that. But I appreciate you all being out here, man. Thank you a lot. First things first, going to talk about the running back room and what's going on there. The running back room, in my eyes, has got a lot of potential. Then we'll talk about the defensive line, discuss that, the versatility, not only of the current guys, but the new guys. I think that's one of the reasons the Steelers went heavy on the D-line, because there's some versatility there, and I think that's going to be the key to this defense. And then DK Metcalf. We haven't talked a ton about DK Metcalf, but we're going to break him down and what that needs to be as far as the Steelers. So I appreciate everybody being in here as always. Had a little bit of I was sick basically all day yesterday, but today I'm feeling better. So I appreciate you all showing up. Thank you guys for being in here as always. Remember, as always, super chats are wide open if you want to help support the channel that way. We appreciate it. You know how to do that. Get your comment, question, or your rant up on stage. Memberships are also available. You'll see a link in the chat later if you want to become a member. We appreciate there. And you know, all of our members that are in, they get priority. Felicia is in here. We appreciate you, Felicia. Thanks for showing up. Jimmy K got his Thunderbird mug and t-shirt. He is in tonight. Appreciate you, Jimmy. Thank you for showing up, my man. And then our man, Tom, what is going on? I appreciate Jar Devil's in the house, or Jared Devil. Excuse me. I'm going to get your name right one of these days. So I appreciate you being in here. What's going on, Steelers territory in Louisiana Purchase? I love that name. That is awesome. So appreciate everybody being in here, man. Let's get this thing going. So first thing first, a couple of quick hits. So I mentioned this is the dead period. It's basically 5 weeks until training camp. Is that there is not going to be a lot of news that goes on right now. Now, I guess we could sign a free agent. I guess there could be a trade, but there's not going to be any trades this time of year. Nobody's trading anybody before training camp. That's not going to happen. There could be some free agent signings, something of that nature that could go down. I said, but right now it is literally guys are on vacation, taking their last bit of vacation, maybe staying a little bit in shape, working out with each other. I'm sure the guys are headed to Malibu in a couple weeks to offensive skill positions to work with Aaron Rodgers. So a lot to go on there, but we're just kind of in a holding pattern as far as the Steelers are concerned. I wouldn't suspect, I know there's a lot of talk about wide receiver too. Wouldn't suspect anything to happen until training camp, people. I just wouldn't expect that. Doesn't mean there won't be anything that happens. I just wouldn't get your hopes up thinking the Steelers need to make a move or are going to make a move before training camp in this period. I don't suspect that. So we'll see what happens there, but it is what it is. As far as other news, ESPN, again, ladies and gentlemen, is on that BS. So I don't know. Dan Graziano. First, 1 week, Dan Graziano from ESPN says the Steelers could be contenders with Aaron Rodgers. Then the very next week, he comes on and says, well, it isn't going to move the needle and they're not going to win a playoff game. It's just they'll make the playoffs. I'm like, make up your mind. I mean, the rhetoric is ridiculous at this point. I mean, at least be consistent. If you don't like us, be consistent with us. If you do, then stay that way. But don't do the flip-flopping back and forth. I'm like, my goodness. It almost depends on what show he's on. If he's on First Take, he's one way. If he's on Get Up, he's another way. I'm like, oh, my God, this guy, it's just craziness. It's just craziness. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So I appreciate it. Let's get into this, man. The running back room for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think there's upside here. I recognize that Najee played behind some bad lines. I recognize that, but also recognize that Najee didn't have the best. He wasn't the best running back available. Okay, Najee had some flaws that a better back with better vision, better burst, better quickness could do some things for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, sometimes a line helps a running back, sometimes a running back helps a line. And it didn't seem like we had the best of either of those. First super chat of the night from our man Alonzo Dunn saying, "Hello, everybody. How you doing, Mr. Dunn? We appreciate you showing up." Look at Big Pun's in here early tonight. Appreciate you, Pun. Appreciate you showing up, brother. Thank you. But yeah, man, I like running back room. I do. I know that Jaylen Warren is going to get initially, he's going to be the guy. And, before I would say, Mike Tomlin doesn't like to play rookies, but he played Najee Harris. Now, that was kind of out of necessity, but they played Najee Harris right away. And Caleb Johnson, I don't know. I like Caleb Johnson. I like Jaylen Warren. I like all of them. So, my man Jordan, appreciate you showing up. He said Warren played behind the same line, had more energy and more explosiveness. You couldn't have said that any better. He sure did. Now, he didn't get as many carries. He didn't get as many touches, but he showed a burst. He showed some elusiveness. He's just not, in my opinion, just not an every down back. Not for my taste. He's just not an every down back. But that doesn't mean he can't be. It just means he hasn't shown that as of yet. And I don't think we need to be giving Jaylen Warren 25 touches a game, combined. I don't think we need to be that way. So I just don't. But we'll see. But I mean, I like Caleb Johnson. I like Kenneth Gainwell. I question why they brought him here. I still question why they brought him here. But I guess the Steelers are dead set on having 3 running backs, which, okay, if that's the route they're going to go. But, I mean, we saw some of that last year. Cordero Patterson got in. I mean, there was times in the fourth quarter, like Cordero Patterson's getting carries in the fourth quarter. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what's the point of having your third running back running the football in the fourth quarter? In close games, I'm like, this is ignorant, but whatever. But I like the potential. I like Caleb Johnson. I said it the other day. Obviously, it depends on how the season goes. But by week 8, if he can get his pass protection down and knows what he's doing in the passing game, I would suspect that the carries will at least be 50-50 by then. Is it really that important who starts the football game and who doesn't? I'm sure it's important to the guys. It absolutely is important to them. But if you're splitting the carries 50-50 and splitting the touches 50-50, I don't really know that it matters that much on who has what. I don't really know that it matters that much on who actually starts the football game. So as far as that is concerned, I think by week 8, I think that's where we're going to be. Let's see what some of you all say. Jordan says Warren played. Nope, we already said that. You were right. Said, DB boys, do you think we should have tried to snag Chubb? No, absolutely not. We had Jaylen Warren. We brought in Gainwell early, and we drafted a guy. There's no need to have Chubb. Now, here's what I will say. People that don't want Jair Alexander because Jair Alexander has knee problems and has missed a bunch of games. And that's, you can't deny that. That's true. But when he is healthy, he's a top 5 corner. Nick Chubb has had worse knee problems, and he plays running back, and he's been beat to hell. And and there were a lot of people out there saying you want that guy. And I'm like, oh, hold on. You want a running back with knee problems and both knees has been beat up? You'd rather have him than a corner that when he plays is top 5, and as good as Chubb is, he ain't no top 5 running back when he's healthy. Then he's not that. Not anymore. So, but that's just a weird comparison that I made. Nobody else made that. But no Chubb for me. I didn't like Chubb. He doesn't do anything. If we are upset and think that Caleb Johnson's got to bring it along and get his stuff together as far as the passing game. Nick Chubb didn't do anything in the passing game for Cleveland. Like nothing at all. Nothing at all. So that's my thing. He didn't do anything like that. Jimmy K says they also are saying Najee looks like a superstar in Chargers camp. I mean, doesn't everybody look like a superstar in helmets and shoulder pads? I mean, everybody looks like that, you know? So that means nothing. And Najee, it's not that Najee looks bad. Najee's one of those guys that first coming off the bus, that's who you want walking off the bus for you, is Najee. But you put him on the football field, and some of those physical attributes just aren't there. They just weren't there. As much as we may like him, I like Najee. I thought he was a great football player, great in the locker room. But you need something more. That's all. You just need something more. So Caleb has to be better runner than Najee. Yeah, I think he is a better runner than Najee. He's definitely going to be faster. So that's the one thing. What's going on, Rob Nash? We appreciate you being in here, man. But yeah, he's going to be faster. So that's that. But we'll see. It's interesting on that front as far as a running back room. I just like Jaylen. I like Jaylen Warren. I just don't think he's a 20 to 25 touch a game guy. I've never thought that, and I still don't think that. So Big G said on this podcast that the Steelers should get Chubb. Well, he's never been on this show, so he didn't say it on this. He might have said it on the big show, and if he did, he probably immediately told him he was nuts because the Steelers didn't need Nick Chubb. At no point in time did the Steelers need Nick Chubb. So, but that's that. But I like who we have. I absolutely like who we have. So that's the thing. No, Robert, no, I didn't. Now you're just making up stuff. Stop lying. Don't do that. Don't be lying on me and trying to put it in all caps. Matter of fact, just you'll stay right where you are. The online Najee says Big Pun. That O-line Najee's rookie year took a lot off the rubber off his time. Man, you ain't never. That O-line was so bad. It was so bad. Lord have mercy. It was so bad. Yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But I mean, Najee's vision was a big part of that. So that's that, man. We'll see. DB Boy says, in this dead season of football, are GMs still trying to make moves, or do they wait until camp? I mean, DB or general managers are always still trying to make moves. They're always still trying to make moves. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. They're still trying to make a move to do something. It's just, I wouldn't suspect there being a whole lot of trades going on right now. I just don't think there'll be a whole lot of trades. So we'll see. But yeah, it's just in this dead period, there's not going to be a whole lot of movement for the Steelers. Not going to be a whole lot of movement at all. So there's that. Running back room, it's just got a lot of upside potential, ladies and gentlemen. It just does. I like what Caleb. I like the room. But we'll see. We keep talking about Caleb Johnson. We keep saying this. We keep saying that. They got to show it. He's got to show it on the field. On paper, and again, I'll say this to anybody. On paper, the Steelers are a better football team than they were last year. But it's only on paper. We can say they're better, but they have to go out and prove that they are better. But they should be. I mean, they should be, But me saying that doesn't make it true. So that's the difference here. Najee's vision was better in 2024, says my man Self-Made, somewhat. It still wasn't great. It still wasn't great, but somewhat. I would also say the line played a little bit better in 2024 as well. I'll give them some grace there. The line was a little bit better in 2024 than 2023. It was. So, but we'll see. We'll see. No, Kenneth Gainwell. I like Gainwell. I'm not sure what his role is going to be. But I like Gainwell. I mean, he was a backup to Saquon Barkley in Philly last year, and he was good. Now, there's a lot of guys that are going to be good running behind that Eagles offensive line and what they do offensively. A lot of guys are going to be good behind that. But I like Gainwell. I'm just not sure of his role. That's all. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to be because, I mean, you think about it, the third running back on a team, what do they get? Maybe 2 or 3 carries a game? Maybe? I just, that's my only thing. I'm just not sure how they're going to try to use them. So, not sure how they are going to use them. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll get it figured out. One way or another, we're going to get it figured out. So, let's move on, people. So, the defensive line. The defensive line seems to be pretty versatile, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty versatile. So, awareness comes in. Before we get there, awareness says he was listening to the show from yesterday, and a Browns fan found his way into the chat. When are they going to realize they are the only team in the division that wasn't owned by Mike Brown? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. The Browns fans just make me laugh, man. They just make me laugh. Literally, they make me laugh. It's all fun and games with them. It's all fun and games. But the D-line, man, the D-line is pretty versatile. It's one of those things to where I think the D-line is going to have to be better than what it has been in the past. I mean, it got younger, which we needed to get younger, got more athletic. We needed to be more athletic. And the thing that I like is that it's versatile. Derek Harmon can play up and down the line. Cam Hayward can play up and down the line. Y.A. Black, I don't know if he can play up and down the line, but they're trying. They're trying to move him up and down the line. Keanu Benton, I believe Keanu Benton can still play up and down the line. I know the Steelers are trying to cement him and be a nose tackle. I think there's other things that Keanu Benton can do. I think he can be more versatile. So I think that's an opportunity there. More versatility never hurt anybody. The more you can do, the better you can do. Now, the pushback to that is always, well, if you don't do anything well, then, you're just doing everything average. I'm like, that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. So that's my whole thing is that if you can do more, do more. I mean, Cam Hayward can play nose. He can also play a 3 technique. He can play a 4-eye and a 5. Seems to be doing pretty well to me. That's just me. Lonzo Dunn says we cannot leave Benton in the middle. Yeah, I just get him to training camp and let's see what changes we can make there. Because and it's not that Benton's not a good football player. He's just not big enough to be a nose tackle, in my opinion. He just gets moved out of there too much. So that's what it is for me. Rob Nash says, is Benton going to be the starting nose tackle even though, he's somewhat smaller? I mean, right now he is. I just don't like it. So, yeah, I don't like it. But we'll see what happens, man. We will absolutely see what happens. West says Jack going to give guys like Highsmith and Herbig a chance to chill. I mean, well, Herbig's a backup too, so he's going to give them an opportunity. Having 4 guys as far as outside linebackers / edge rushers, that's going to help the Steelers. 4 productive guys. So I still am not convinced of Jack Sawyer. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. I want it to work. And I can be totally wrong. It's just, I'm just not sure. Awareness You're exactly right. If the D line can move around, we would be dangerous. Of course. Again, the more you can do, and I don't just mean the more individual guys, like if we can run a four-man, when we get in our sub packages, if we can have Alex Highsmith play a three technique, if we can move TJ Watt around, and run some slants and some twists, some crazy games up front. If we can do that kind of stuff because we got more athletic guys that are more versatile, that will help. We see Cleveland do it to us all the time. Myles Garrett lines up as a three technique, loops all the way around, or lines up outside, loops inside, all the way inside. I mean, does it all the time. Max Crosby does it all the time. The more versatile that everybody can be, the better it's going to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and to be able to stop people. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Got to be more versatile. And if we are, then that will help. Can't be vanilla. Just can't be so vanilla, which we've been so vanilla for so long. For so long. The last 8-9 games last year, the Steelers was just basic defense. It was disgusting. I'm like, move around, make a twist, do something. Do something. But this is going to help. Getting younger and more versatile. Look, Derek Harmon, I think Derek Harmon is going to be a game wrecker, ladies and gentlemen. I think Derek Harmon is going to be a game wrecker. I really believe that he is. He's going to be a guy that you look at, and I'm not trying to compare him to Cam Hayward because Cam Hayward's a Hall of Famer. So I'm not saying this guy's going to come in and just be a Hall of Famer right off the bat. But what I'm saying is I just think Derek Harmon has that capability. I think he's big, he's super strong, and he's explosive. He is explosive. And that's what you need from a guy that plays his position. I like what he can bring to the table and is going to bring to the table. I think he's a difference maker. And that's what the Steelers needed up front. Difference makers. So Freddie Bistro says, Steve, we've been vanilla on offense and defense. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So, yes, he did, Alonzo Dunn. The kid from the Giants looked like an all-pro running against us. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And the thing about it, and I've said it before, look, the Steelers, it wasn't that they were just horrendous against the run. It was when we needed to stop the run, we couldn't stop it. That was the problem. Now, did we look bad against the run against the Ravens? Yes. Okay. The last 2 times we played the Ravens, we looked horrible stopping the run. Okay. So that's number one. However, saying all of that, when we needed to stop people from running the ball, we just couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it. So I just think that this D-line being more versatile, more athletic, younger, I think that's going to help. I think that's going to help. Big athletic people that are explosive up front is exactly what you need out of your defensive line. And game wreckers. Be a game wrecker. I think we got one. I think we got one in Derek Harmon. I really believe we do. And if you team him up in passing situations with Derek Harmon, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, look out. Look out. So I think we've got a chance, people. I think that this D-line has a chance. So, yeah, in Vegas, you bring up a great point. If they can get a nice rotation going and it does well, Cam could really play these 3 years left on. I mean, he's got 2 left. Look, if Cam gets through this season, great. Then we'll go to next season. I'm not looking too far down the road with Cam. I get what you're saying, Vegas, and number one, you're 100% right. But I'm just get through this season and be the same dominant player you were last year, Cam, and then we'll deal with next year. I love it. I love it. Awareness hates vanilla defense. It reminds me of the name we don't say on this channel. No, we don't say that. We don't say a certain offensive coordinator's name on this channel. We don't do that here at Steelers Almighty, people. We're not doing that. No, no. No, no. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Dre says, listen, man, put Black in on the must-run plays. I mean, I'm not against it. Although I have heard some reports and seen some reports that Y.A. Black is a little bit more of a project. I have heard that. And if that's the case, I'll be quite frank with you. That's disappointing because I understand that every draft pick isn't going to be, play ready, but that's a big guy. And if he's a project, to be a nose tackle on a project, I don't see the need then. I don't see the need of bringing in a project defensive lineman. The Steelers don't need that. They need a guy that can come in and play, that can stop the run. So we'll see in training camp and preseason if Black is really a project or not. We'll get a look at that and we'll be able to see some of that. Because if he's a project, I will be disappointed. So those are just reports. Doesn't mean it's true, but we'll find out. Because if it is true, then my first thing is, what the hell are you doing, Steelers? We don't need a project D lineman. I know it was the 5th round. Take somebody else that's ready to play. So, but that's just me. So, that's just me. Jordan, we're talking about somebody, but that last sentence that you made, please, or the last word in that sentence or question, please remove that. We don't do that on Steelers Almighty. Never have, never will. Can't bring up his name. So, can't bring up his name. Mark Malone in here. I haven't seen you in the chat, Mark. I may have missed you. I apologize. So, but yeah. So that's where we are with the D-line. The D-line is going to be more versatile. The D-line has got some things that are going to make some sense. The versatility is key, man. The versatility to me is key. So, Dre says, I heard the same, Almighty. I wouldn't give a damn. Short yardage situation, get his big ass in the game. Put him right in the middle against the center. Now, the only reason that I don't say that, Dre, is because if he stands straight up and that's part of his problem, it doesn't matter how big you are. If your first step and you're standing up, then you're going to get driven back, especially if there's 2 guys. So maybe that's part of his problem. But you got to coach that out of him. You got to coach that out of him. That would be my thing. But I get what you're saying. No, I'm right there with you. He's too big not to be able to do something. And you did draft him, so he's got to be able to play a little bit for you to waste a draft pick on him. So, I'm with you. So we'll see. We will see. Hollywood says, I'm late. What up, Big B? What's going on, Hollywood? How you doing, man? Appreciate you joining the chat tonight. We appreciate you guys. Hey, just as a reminder, chat, Big B merch is out. Steelers Almighty Church is out. So, our merch is out. I shouldn't say church. Steelers Almighty merch is available. All you have to do, go to Steelers Almighty shop, and you'll be able to pick you up some stuff there, some good stuff. The link is in the chat if you want to go pick you up a shirt, glass, hat, all that good stuff, man. Merch is out and available. Some of you have already got some stuff. Anybody else in the chat? Jimmy K was in here earlier, said that he had received his already. If anybody else is in the chat has already received theirs, for anybody who's got it, let us know. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. So, Dre says, I get you all the way 100%. But when Baltimore is on the schedule, right there in the middle. Yeah, I'm with you with Black. Just put him in there. We got to do something different. We can't get run over by the Baltimore Ravens again like we did in the playoffs last year. So, Alonzo Dunn, he got his shirt. His Thunderbird shirt. So, absolutely. Keep it going, people. We appreciate the support that you all have given us, man. So, mm-mm-mm. Hey, Felicia, what's going on? I saw you in earlier, but you must have had to run out. We are glad that you are back. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Felicia, Alonzo Dunn, let's bring it together. Let's bring it together. We don't need no friction tonight. We don't need any friction tonight. We need all level heads tonight. We need level head. I apologize, Alonzo. First of all, Mr. Alonzo Dunn, I'm just throwing this out here, just so you know. I will be blowing up your spot probably for the next month every single time I'm on here. Just saying, man. Just saying. I'm a hater. You can call me a hater. I apologize. I will be blowing up your spot. So it is what it is. It's all in good fun, man. It's all in good fun. So I appreciate it. So Harmon says, DB boys. He says Harmon was drafted to be a Henry stopper. I think Harmon was drafted to be a total disruptor. I think Derek Harmon was drafted to be a Cam Hayward type, not play the same way, but be just as effective. That's what I think Derek Harmon was drafted for, to absolutely be a game wrecker. That if you single block me, I'm going to wreck your football game. If you single block me in passing situations, and it's one-on-one, I'm going to beat up your guard, and I'm going to hit your quarterback in the mouth. That's what I believe. That's absolutely what I believe. So Jimmy K, super chat, says off topic. That doesn't matter, but my 6-year-old Maddie wants me to tell you that Joey Porter Jr. is the greatest. Well, you know what? You tell your 6-year-old Maddie that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be the greatest this season. You tell her that. Because if a 6-year-old's got that in mind and knows what they're talking about or wants to say that, then we love Miss Maddie. So we appreciate Maddie's support. Thank you, Maddie. And we hope Joey Porter Jr. is going to be the greatest. So we hope so. We hope so. So we'll see what happens. No, Felicia, I didn't say that. I didn't say that y'all weren't good. I didn't say that. I'm just teasing. So, just a teasing. Yeah, I think Harmon's got to be a game wrecker, ladies and gentlemen. I think he does. All right, people, let's move on. So the offense got to go through DK. I think the Steelers, look, you trade for DK Metcalf, you pay him all that money. I know we want to run the football. We brought in Aaron Rodgers. I think we got through. I think DK Metcalf's got to have 80 catches this year, people. 75 to 80, I think, is the number. 75 to 80 is the number in my eyes. That's what he's got to do. 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 to 8 touchdowns. I think DK's got to be that guy. I don't know why you would bring him in if you're not going to put him out there and put him in those type of positions. I don't know why you would do that. Yeah. To me, it doesn't make sense to bring in a guy, trade for a guy, give up on a guy, and not throw him the football. And that was my problem with George Pickens, is that, look, Pickens was a head case. Pickens had an attitude problem, all of that stuff. But his talent was unquestioned. The Steelers didn't give him enough opportunities. And when I say enough opportunities, like design plays, throw him the football, one-on-one coverage, okay, I trust my guy. Just throw it to him. Russell Wilson didn't do that. Justin Fields didn't do that. I bag on baby hands Pickens all the time, and deservedly so. But baby hands at least said, hey, this is my best offensive weapon. I'm going to throw him the football. And he did it. Mason Rudolph was the same way. Mason Rudolph got in the game and said, oh, yeah, this is my best offensive player. I'm throwing him the ball. And whether it's One-on-one coverage or not, I don't care. I trust my guy. Steelers have to do the same thing with DK Metcalf. Trust that guy. Now, if he proves that he can't do it, that's a different conversation. But at least give him the opportunity. At least give him the opportunity. DB Boy said, I think DK is going to take to being a leader fantastically. It's going to change his mindset, and the crash out days are behind him. Bold. I don't know if the crash out days will be behind him, but I don't think his crash out days were detrimental to the football team. I think he just wanted the football. You know, he wasn't a locker room problem or anything like that. I like DK. And he's already taken to being a mentor. Hell, he's helping the DBs. So he's helping the DBs. I like it. Alonzo Dunn, another super chat supporting the channel like he always does, says Aaron Rodgers won't miss. Maybe he can't move, but he can see. Exactly. And again, it's not that Rodgers can't move at all. He just doesn't move like when he was 32, 33 years old. He doesn't move like that anymore. Okay, but he can throw. He can still see. He can still sling that football. Pun says Rodgers to DK will look like Rodgers to Devontae in Green Bay. I mean, if it does, we got something. I know that. I just, that's the difference. That's the difference. They got to use DK. In my opinion, the offense needs to run through him. I understand that we want to run the ball. We probably want to run the ball 57, 58% of the time. Okay, I'm with it. But we need to be throwing that football to DK Metcalf a lot. A lot. Throw him the football a lot. That'll open everything else up for other people. It'll open everything else up for everybody. That's what we want to see. That's what we need to see. That's what we need to see. So, awareness says DK and D Washington will have the most touches. Aaron loves big tight ends. He does. I don't think that Washington is going to have more touches than Freiermuth, though. I think Freiermuth is going to get unlocked. I know a lot of us in here don't like Freiermuth, and we're really mad at him after that Baltimore game where he literally couldn't get an inch after a 180-pound DB tackled him. I'm with you, but I think Freiermuth might get unlocked here because the middle of the field is going to get unlocked. That's what's going to happen. The middle of the field is going to get unlocked. And if that happens, there's going to be a lot of room in there for him to do some damage. So, a lot of room for him to do damage. So, like I said, I think DK Metcalf, he needs to have 75 to 80 catches. And 75 is the minimum. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're clear. 75 is the minimum number of catches I think DK needs to have. He needs to have over 1,100 yards and at least 7 touchdowns. That's very doable. Very doable. So, very doable. Oh, now, DB, you got a point here. I think Washington could get more red zone TDs than Pat. No, you're right about that. You're right about that. And won't be mad. Won't be mad. So, Darren Jackson says DK at least 19 targets. That's pushing it. I don't know. 19 targets a game is a lot, man. That's a lot. I don't think he needs to have 19 targets a game. I don't think that much. But it needs to be up there. It needs to be up there. Again, I just don't think the Steelers did enough with Pickens when it's one-on-one coverage. They didn't trust him enough to throw him the ball. Now, some of that, Pickens running half-ass routes. Quarterback's like, I don't trust that. I'm not just going to throw the ball up. So, that's the difference. That's the difference. So, but we'll see. We'll see. 75 said Vegas says 75 isn't even 5 catches a game. The number one receiver better average at least 5 catches. Give me 75. You got to start somewhere, man. He didn't have that last year. We didn't have that last year. Give me 75 catches. Minimum. Like I said, that's a minimum. So I'll take it. I'll take it. So Darren said at least 10. My bad. No, I got you, man. I got you. So I got it. Pun says if DK gets 19 targets from Rodgers, he'll break the NFL single season record. Yeah. The Steelers aren't going to throw the ball enough to have him have 19 targets. You know, they're not going to throw it enough. And quite frankly, we aren't going to want to be throwing the ball that much to have one guy 19 targets. Either we can't run the ball or we're always behind, by a lot where we got to constantly throw the football to catch up. Get me into some 4-minute offense type of stuff. So Felicia says Chris Carter had an interesting thing to say about DK, in the podcast with Jeff Hartman this morning. Didn't hear it. What do you have to say, Felicia? Did not hear that. Did not hear it. And there's a Felicia Ballard that is in the chat. And there's a Aisha Ballard. I wonder if they're related. Maybe not. Rodgers know better than us that our wide receiver group and offense relies on DK. He'll feed them. Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. So I think so too. I think that the Steelers, I think Aaron Rodgers, like I said, it's refreshing. Now we still got to see it on the field, ladies and gentlemen. But it is refreshing that Arthur Smith said, hey, we didn't bring Aaron Rodgers in. We didn't sign DK and sign him all that money to run the wishbone. So he could just be posturing. He'd just be saying that in an interview, and the Steelers come out and run the ball 65 times a game, which will drive me to drink. Straight Thunderbird. But I feel like this is going to be something that's going to be better. I just feel like that. So Pun says, but Big B, if Rodgers starts lighting it up, would you scratch the run heavy O and let Aaron cook? Nah, not if we're up 2 scores with 10 minutes to go in the game. No. Time and down and distance and, complimentary football, all that stuff dictates how you play. Now, if he's cooking middle second quarter, and I don't care if the Steelers are up by 5 touchdowns, if he's cooking the middle of the second quarter, middle of not the middle of the third, but middle of the second quarter, keep throwing that football. But, time and score, all that kind of stuff will kind of dictate what you do. So, I'm okay with the run heavy, but it can't be 60%. You're not winning in the National Football League with the way that the rules are trying to run the ball 60% of the time. You even look at the Eagles last year. When the Super Bowl came, what did the Eagles do to win the football game? Outside of playing great defense, what did they do to win the football game? They were throwing that football. Why? Because the Chiefs said Saquon Barkley is not going to beat us. We are going to put enough guys at the line of scrimmage, mix things up, and Saquon Barkley is not going to beat us. So, not going to beat us. That's the thing. Not going to do it. So, they had to throw the football, and they did. And that's why you do run it. That's why it's important to have a run game, is because if we got a run game, you can't take away both. You can either take away the run game or you can take away the pass game and double team our guy. Other than that, you're not doing that. And that's what the Eagles did. That's what the Steelers got to do. And now they've got a guy that can exploit that. But O-line's got to come to play. O-line's got to come to play. So it looks like the Ballards, they're not related. They're related by Steeler blood, which I love. So appreciate you joining us. I think it's the first time I've seen you in the chat, so I appreciate you being in here, and thanks for the support. Really do. We have a lot of fun in here, man. A lot of fun. So, So Theron says Rodgers is not a Justin Fields QB. No, he's not. Not at all. Not at all. You know, running read options and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Rodgers is not going to do any of that. And you don't want him to do any of that. But you know what Rodgers does that Justin Fields can't do? Read a defense. Get the ball out quick. Get us in and out of a good play. Use the middle of the field. It has a cannon that's accurate. All those things is what Aaron Rodgers can. And even if his arm isn't as strong as what it was 5 years ago, it's still accurate. It's still accurate. So I'll take it. I'll take it. So, and just the offense in itself, I feel better because if there's certain plays last year that when Najee Harris was in the game where he would get a 10-yard gain, a 12-yard gain, something like that, that if that's Jaylen Warren, it's a touchdown. You know, Caleb Johnson, it's a touchdown. You know, Kenneth Gainwell, it's a touchdown. Those guys are just more explosive. So I feel good about that part of the offense. But we just got to unlock DK. We got to unlock him. And if we do, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just telling you, the Steelers got a chance. They have got a chance. I know there was somebody in here last week that was arguing with us, telling us about sophomore slumps and nothing's a given. Everybody understands that they have to do it on the field. I think everybody understands that. But the key to all of that is that while we understand they still have to go out and actually play better, but if you look at the roster compared to last year's roster, the Steelers are better. They're just better. Now, doesn't mean they're going to play better. But nobody's played any games. You can't say that about anybody, that they're going to play better than last year. You can't say that about anybody. All you can do is base it off of what we currently know. And what we currently know is that the Steelers have a better roster than what they did at the end of last year. Period. End of story. Better quarterback room. Wide receivers is better because DK is better than George Pickens. Better running back room. The line should be better, or it looks to be better. It is better. The D-line is better. The secondary is better. Well, if all these things are better, how are the Steelers not better? How is the roster not better? I would just, if anybody disagrees, and you feel free, just tell me how they're not any better. If all those things are true. And they would be true. You know? I don't know. It's just me. Awareness says, Big B, you think Tomlin will let Aaron throw across the middle? Tomlin's not going to have a say in what Aaron Rodgers does when it comes to throwing the football. That much I'll tell you right now. If a guy's open running across the middle of the field, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw him the football. I don't care what Mike Tomlin says or does. So that's all. He's going to throw the ball over the middle of the field if guys are open. He didn't trust his quarterbacks last year, or hell, we could go back to when Big Ben was here. He hasn't trusted a quarterback to throw the ball over the middle of the field. That's why the Steelers don't do it. He isn't going to if he doesn't trust Aaron Rodgers not to do that, then why the hell is Aaron Rodgers here? That would be my first question. And I will say this right now. I will say this right this very second, and you all can hold my feet to the fire on it. If we get a report that Mike Tomlin / Arthur Smith will not allow Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball over the middle of the field, if that and I'm not talking about just one writer just writing some BS. I'm talking about if we get some reports that that's what's going on, I will be the first person to tell you that Mike Tomlin needs to be fired immediately. Immediately. Because you brought in this guy that is, I mean, you can say whatever you say about Aaron Rodgers, calling him dumb is not something that he is. Okay? He's extremely smart. Extremely smart. Sees the field, can break down a defense. That's his thing. And if Aaron Rodgers, if you don't trust him to throw the ball over the middle of the field, I tell you right now, Mike Thomas should be fired. Now, again, somebody, you don't have to clip this and just say, Big B, Steelers Almighty wants him fired. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, if we start getting these reports coming out saying that Tomlin doesn't want him throwing over the middle of the field, and it's a component of the most dangerous place to have the foot. If that starts coming out and Tomlin says something like that again in an interview, I will be screaming he needs to be fired immediately. Screaming that he needs to be fired. So, yes, immediately, Mr. S. Palmer, immediately I'll be screaming for it. So it doesn't matter that Steelers don't fire head coaches, Digital does. So it doesn't matter. I will be screaming it forever. If that happens. If that happens. Somber's back in. What's going on, man? So, what's going on? Appreciate you back in the chat. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be something else. Felicia says, will Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin have sweet, eye-silent conversations during the unscripted plays Aaron makes that hit and Arthur Smith hadn't called it? Again, if Aaron Rodgers sees something that needs to be done, he's going to do it. If he needs to get out of a play and get into a better play, he's going to do it. And he's going to continue to do it because you know what Aaron Rodgers will say. If he gets out of a play and he checks into a play and it works, after the game, somebody's going to ask him about that. And he's going to say, yeah, they were giving us this look. I knew if we did this, it was going to be a big play. And then there is no pushback for that from Tomlin, Arthur Smith, nobody. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to tell you the truth of what happened out there, or at least based on what he sees. Yeah, they gave us this look. I was telling guys all week, if they give us this look, we're going to this. They gave us this look. I checked to this. I knew it'd be a big play. Boom. And he'll tell us. He'll tell us. So I love it. I love it. So that's kind of the beauty of an Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of the beauty. So before I get out of here, people, I want to ask y'all this question. I've asked it before, and I'm going to ask it again because I want to see what you guys have to say, chat. If Aaron Rodgers plays well, and what I mean by playing well, let's just say he has the same numbers that he had last year, which to me, I thought were good numbers. But say he has the same numbers as he has last year, but the Steelers win 11 games and a playoff game. If Rodgers wants to come back for one more year, do you sign him? Do you bring him back? Because he would have played well enough. The Steelers would have won a playoff game. Do you bring him back for another year? I mean, my thing is, I say yeah. Because even if you draft a quarterback number one next year, which the Steelers most undoubtedly need to do, they need to find that guy. Okay. What's the point, or what's the harm in having that guy sit a year under Aaron Rodgers? So what would be the point? I mean, you can't learn under that guy? So Felicia is on the fence. Felicia's on the fence because she's on the fence about Aaron Rodgers. I get it, Felicia. I get it. But if he does all of that, I just think you have to bring him back, don't you? I mean, almost 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks. The Steelers win 11 games and a playoff game. I mean, shoot. If Baby Hands had done that, we'd be giving him an extension. So I don't see why there's no reason not to bring the guy back for 1 year. Still draft your quarterback. None of that would change. None of that would change. Still draft your quarterback. And then keep it moving. Keep it moving. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. But let's get there. Digital's right. Let's cross that bridge when we get there. So let's get that bridge, cross that bridge when we get there. The thing about that, though, is, I'll be honest with you, I think Aaron Rodgers would retire. Because I only think the reason that Aaron Rodgers is back is to redeem himself from that nonsense that happened with the Jets. And he's like, I don't want to go out on that note. If he did that, that's the season he had, and that's what the Steelers did, I would almost guarantee that Aaron Rodgers would retire and say, hey, I did what I wanted to do. I appreciate it, but I'm done. That would just be me. That would just be me. I think he would retire. But say he doesn't. Palmer said, yes, I'll eat crow again. Y'all do remember, though, just as a reminder to everybody, that if the Steelers do, and Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, and the Steelers win a playoff game, you do remember that I have to buy an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey, right? Y'all do know that. And again, I own no jerseys. The only jersey that's hanging up in my closet is I have a jersey I have two. One from when I was in high school and another one from when I was in college. I don't own another person's jersey. That's not my thing. I don't do that. And I told you guys I would do it. I'm not going to back out. So that's the thing. Brenda, Rodgers didn't suck with the Jets. He didn't suck with the Jets. You got to stop that. The Jets sucked overall, but Rodgers didn't do that. That's right, Robert. You're right. Guess what happens if Aaron Rodgers wins a playoff game? That's right. I got to buy a jersey. I don't know if y'all remember. I don't know if y'all remember, but I made that promise, and I will 1,000,000% keep it. So 1,000,000% keep it. So, all right, people, that's what I got for you all tonight. I appreciate everybody being in here. A reminder, tomorrow, the big show, me and Big G will be at it again, man. Let's get rowdy. 8 Eastern, 7 Central. We'll be right back here on Steelers Almighty. Remember, everybody show up tomorrow. Be here early, and let's get after it, get rowdy. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do. You want to become a member. You see that the members, that we put all that out there. We put your information, your comments, all that good stuff up on the screen if you are a member. That's one of the perks that you guys get. And then also, if you want to have merch, you want to buy some Steelers Almighty merch, remember, it is available. Steelers Almighty shop. Make sure you go get your Thunderbird shirt, glasses, hat, all of that good stuff. We'll have more stuff coming out as we get further along, as it becomes available. We'll have a lot of stuff here in the next couple of weeks that will be available to you guys. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for showing up as you always do. And aloha.